I still relive that day. On that day, November 30th, I was at a barber shop, going to get my hair cut. And I just sat on the chair to get ready.
Welcome back, everyone, and Zahir again. We would like to thank you for being gracious, and it's a humbling experience to sit with you as you share about your son. I would like now to shift gears a bit and talk culture, society, religion, and mental health. In many cultural communities, even as Africans, we know that mental health can be a really sensitive topic.
Yeah.
Now, at least, people are beginning to at least even be willing to sit and have a conversation about it. How have cultural beliefs and your interactions with your community, your culture, US culture, African culture mesh influenced your journey in addressing mental health? How do you view it now, of course, because through this tragic loss, your view on mental health and mental health awareness has changed drastically, Have you encountered any challenges, resistance within your cultural religious community when you begin to speak about the challenges your son, that led to your son's untimely loss, and discussing mental health, and how have you worked to overcome these pushbacks and just focus on who your son was and what you want his memory to be?
Bianca, thank you for that question. I think you really don't realize or even understand what mental health means until a tragic event of losing a son like Jamal, because even myself, even growing up, mental health was rarely addressed.
Yes.
I never even knew anything about. I mean, people talked about the word mental, but it was more of pieces and whatever, but not in a fashion that I could really understand. So back home in Kenya, that was never really a big topic. Nobody really addressed mental health, and in my family, we didn't have any one of person really going through a tragic event like suicide and things like that. So. Yes. That's one area really I was never exposed or really didn't understand much. So life was just normal, right?
Yes.
And then moving to United States and getting married and going through divorce and things like that. My two boys, just growing up, just watching them growing up, going through lifestyles, either from sports, education, understanding about prayers and being kind and things like that. Mental health was not really even here, but with the news coming all the time, you could hear very, celebrities and things like that have committed suicide. So it was like, oh wow, why would they do something like that? They have everything.
They have everything.
They have everything.
Perfect life.
And then that news and all that stuff will just fade, and life will keep moving. So for me, it never really took a lot of time or anything to really understand mental health, because it wasn't part of that, and it wasn't because of lack of. It was just wasn't exposed. I wasn't part of that tragedy with anybody until my son. So once that my son committed suicide, I mean, it was a tragic loss. You know, I mean, it was such a impact to me, because then I was like, oh, now this has happened to me, you know. And at first, I felt really paralyzed, because I had no way to even understand why would somebody like such a young, handsome, 20 years old commit suicide. And I started looking for answers, but I could not find answers. And then now I started really leaning towards like, what is really mental health? And then, you know, and then I realized, wow, there's a lot of people going through a lot of this kind of stuff, you know, not only celebrities, just normal people, you know, families losing young ones, or, you know. So when the tragic moment happened, like I said earlier in the earlier series, it took me 5 years. I was very isolated. Didn't really. I shared. I was always sharing about stuff, but really didn't take it to any level whereby, because I felt like people didn't really feel the pain I was going through, and even when I was sharing stuff, you know, it'd be like, again, that is because that was my kind of issue. So they really could not understand, because
you couldn't relate
to that stuff,
or
right?
Empathize in that.
Yeah, empathize, and so I kind of shied away a little bit. But what I was doing, you know, I brought Jamal in every aspect in terms of his birthday, which is actually coming up April 26, 1997. So that's when he was born. So I'll post some of his pictures on social media, you know, to celebrate him. I'll go to his funeral place in Maryland, you know, place flowers. So my most immediate family and closest friends kind of knew about what I was going through, but beyond that, I really never shared or expressed, or until now recently, when you know, 2022, that moment came, and you know, I took a leap of faith. I said, you know, what can I do?
Yes.
You know, there's, you know, instead of me grieving, always being isolated, I can do something, because you know, now mental health, especially now, even in Kenya and the United States, you really hear a lot about mental health.
Yes, I think we're able now to go from a point of being hidden or being strong.
Yes.
You can't be strong all the time.
Yes.
You can't just get through stuff, or you can't just wake up and keep moving.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's everything is weighing you down.
Yeah. So starting that nonprofit, it kind of opened a lot of channels, a lot of discussion with people. Now people start embracing, and I could see the love and the support, you know, just speaking about the mental health. Well, you know.
So it's going to be a little deep and emotional, I know, but where were you the day you got that call? The call. That one call no one ever wants to get.
I still relive that day. Oh, that day. Yeah. Prior to that, to 2017, I was in Maryland during Thanksgiving. So we had a big gathering, family, friends, and Jamal was there, Nabil was there. Jamal had just come back from school break. And we celebrated just like we always celebrate big events like Thanksgiving together. And he was cheerful. I mean, we took pictures, we ate, we danced, and then it was time for him to go back to school.
Yes.
Back to Florida. And it was time for me to fly back to Dallas. So on that day, November 30th, I was at a barber shop, going to get my hair cut. And I just sat on the chair to get ready. And when Jamal's mom called me, and at first I could not understand what she was saying. It was such a frantic call, and all I could hear was just like I could not understand what she was saying. And I was like, so I told the guy, I said, hey, hang on, let me pick this, I really can't understand. And that's when those words came out. And they said, Jamal. I said, what happened to Jamal? I said, Jamal passed away. I said, what? What do you mean he passed away? I said, yeah, they found him in his room. Jamal is gone. It was so heartbreaking. I mean, I could not move from that chair. So the barber just held me, close, because he could hear from the speaker.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, that moment, it just... I couldn't believe it. I was like, man, I just had my son the other day. We just hanging out. How could this happen? So for almost an hour, I was at the barber shop. The barber shop had to lock the door so nobody else could come in. And I so much pain. I was like, no way. I kept saying, no, God, please, this cannot be true.
Why?
And why? And the mom really could not tell me because she was on the other side, also crying and, So about an hour and a half, my friends actually came and picked me up, drove my car, came back to my house, and then later on, maybe like in the evening, spoke to the mom and said, what happened? And that's when she kind of broke it down and said, yeah, he committed suicide. So the pain on that day, I'll always remember this to this day. Like it just like, man, it's your son should not die before the parents.
Yes, it's just
it's not normal.
And I think as a parent, me being a parent as well, it's that fear of when you send them out of school, when you send them out, or when you hang up on the phone with them, you're expecting to be able to have that next conversation, not for the conversation to be cut short.
Yeah. That pain, and that's why Zahir Nganga Foundation really is. It's just a platform because I don't want our parents to go through this.
Yes.
So if we can start talking to our kids early enough, and have mental health as part of our curriculum, daily curriculum in households.
Yes.
Just like we take our kids to dental, things like that. Mental health should be like
a topmost priority. Yes. All the physical aspects of ourselves we can fix, but what's going on inside our hearts, I think, surpasses everything else.
Yeah.
And often, which is what I'm asking you, ask yourself. We all go through that guilt phase. If we've lost a friend, or if we've lost a loved one, or in your case, your son, we ask ourselves, did we do enough? Why? That capital 3-letter word is what comes to mind. Why? Would you be, I know we have spoken before in the past about your son letting you know essentially why the pain was too much for him to bear. Do you mind sharing with me the contents or sentiments? Because he did leave behind a suicide note. He did express what he was feeling inside.
Yeah, and
what were his thoughts?
Yeah, so once we got the news, we had to fly to his college in Florida, Florida Atlantic University, so to go and meet with the school administration and the police and just kind of understand really what took place. So we were given a note Jamal had written before committing suicide, saying that for the longest time he had been dealing with demons, and those demons kept telling him he needed to finish his life, and apparently this was not his first take. This was actually, he had already tried several times to.
Which did you know at that
time? We did not
this
know.
is what he was now
so
saying
this is
had
what
happened.
He'd
been going through.
Yeah, this is his last message to us, to his mom, his brother, and I. And it's like, yeah, it's not about you guys. And he apologized. He says, I've just been dealing with a lot inside, and so, and to me that was even more heartbreaking, because I'm like, man, why go through all that pain and you can't even share,
Yes.
Even with your, maybe not me, not your, maybe your brother or your mom, but even his best friends, because he was always there for them. He was always giving them all this, strong, spiritual, a positive vibe, and I remember one of his best friend, during the funeral, he stood up and he said, no, if it wasn't for Jamal, you was also going through the suicide, and Jamal saved his life. So, you put all that in perspective, you're like, man, this young man,
he's able to help another
friend, another human person, but not him. He wasn't, there was no avenue for him to reach out to anybody for the pain he was going. And to me, I'll never understand why, because on the outer side, the kid was fantastic. He was a good human being, you couldn't see any indication, but apparently he was going through a lot. And none of us knew. There was not even a slight sign that, my baby was hurting inside. But yet he was willing to help others. What a guy.
And that note, the contents of that note, how has it influenced your journey of healing and understanding? I know it's in some way it's kind of a comforting thing that he expressed why it happened, instead of leaving a blank open space for you to keep guessing.
Yeah.
But how has that note helped you in your journey of healing?
For me, like I said earlier, the first 5 years I was in denial. I was still in pain. But then 3 years ago, I decided that I wanted to cherish his name, bring his memories, so I can live with him, he can be present. And for me, to dedicate a non-profit for Zahir Nganga was one of those peaceful moment for me because I realized that's my purpose now in life. You know, I want to educate, I want to bring awareness so that we can fight the stigma, you know, and bring this awareness to our communities, to our families, you know, so that people can understand that this is an illness and it can affect anybody, regardless of age, how strong you look, you know, how vibrant people might perceive you. So having started Zahir Nganga Foundation, I feel like it's given me a moment of peace because now I walk, I bring Jamal along everywhere.
Everywhere you are.
And I'm thankful a lot of people understanding the message, you know. So Jamal is becoming like a symbolic to a lot of people, and so, you know, we're still at grassroots, but I'm hoping we can build this moment to spread across.
Yes. And your family dynamic, and things will come and in the middle of a seemingly happy moment and tear families apart, bring them closer. And of course, as parents, you and his mom, struggling with kind of the guilt and self-blame. Even as humans, we say, could we have done more? How have you coped with these feelings of guilt, especially regarding potentially missed signs, which seems like he didn't have any? And how has experiencing this loss within your family unit, how has that affected your relationship with his mother, and how is his brother Nabil coping with all of this?
A lot of people don't understand mental health and something like suicide tragedy. At first, my ex-wife and I, we were close because he brought us really, you know, just the why and understanding. And my son Nabil was still in high school, so after several years, things start changing. You know, felt like my relationship with my ex started having challenges. The fact that there was a disconnect, and we started drifting apart. And I know she's grieving even today and things like that. But just that relationship we had before got impacted. And later on, my son Nabil now is 22, but the last 2 years is also now suddenly kind of hit him.
Okay, so he probably just pushed everything to
Nabil,
the back of his mind.
The last 2 years has been also struggling mentally. At first, the first year was very challenging because we could not understand what was, you know, going, and so we took necessary steps so that he could, you know, get assistance from different therapists, psychiatrists, because you know, and now he's getting much better. He went through a good 6 months of intense therapy to cope, because we know that's exactly, you know, like he isolated himself, but when he hit him when he was 19, going to 20, I think it really affected him. I'm very close to him. I monitor him, you know. So I'm hoping all these lessons, you know, families have to really understand that mental health or suicide in a family can break or have an impact
on your family unity.
And family unity, because and sometimes it can bring people together. But from my point, I feel like I kind of lost that part of family, or especially with my ex, so.
So, in coping, you personally, and coping with the guilt, have you been able to embrace professional help, therapy, counseling? I know it was difficult for you to speak about it for years.
Now I am, because before I didn't want to do anything, So, and Jamal Nganga is helping me to create that awareness, even personally for myself, because now the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm sharing about it, it also helps me, mentally, and trying to understand that, issues like this, whatever is going through me, how I can address it. And so now I'm at a stage whereby I'm seeking therapy, I'm seeking assistance, because I'm like, if I'm gonna do this, I've gotta be strong. And I have to be open, I have to share my vulnerabilities and the fear and all that stuff. So yeah, this is something now the last 2 years I've really embarked on, and I bring a lot of that attention even to my friends and things like that, because it's important.
Yes, keeping the conversation going.
Yeah.
And of course, as I keep saying, it's hard to imagine how fast time flies, and it's been just 7 years before we were all in the group supporting you. Some of your friends were able to fly, for those of us who were able to fly, for the funeral and everything. But since then, you've been able to channel your grief into action, organizing several golf tournaments, because golf is your favorite pastime, and you're actively involved in it. And now this year, you have the first annual sneaker gala. But most importantly, of course, is the Jamal Nganga Foundation that you have currently going on in honor of your son. And all this you're doing in advocating mental health, and how it's important to support this young ones as they're growing, and to work towards suicide prevention. So how did the idea for the sneaker gala, the golf tournament, come about? And what significance do all these things hold, as well as the Jamal Nganga Foundation, in honoring your son's memory? And in what ways do you hope that the Jamal Nganga Foundation and all these events will raise awareness and continue to support mental health initiatives from here and worldwide? Yeah,
so the idea actually started a nonprofit for Jamal Nganga was in 2022, where a friend of mine kind of encouraged me and said, you know what, maybe you should start a foundation. And I was like, that's a really good idea. And the moment the idea came, I was like, wow, I can actually play a part in this. It might be small, but just starting a non-profit, Jamal Nganga, the idea behind was how can I impact my community? How can I impact or bring awareness? So what Jamal really Foundation vision is to raise money, raise funds, and out of those funds we give out scholarships up to $1,000 per person.
Is that annually?
Yeah, annually.
Okay.
So the idea behind $1,000, when we looked at it, was basically helping families who cannot afford the premiums which comes with therapies, because some sessions can be expensive.
Yes.
So $1,000, just talking to different service providers, was, that can allow somebody to go from 6 to 8 sessions. Okay. And usually, and just understanding that the first 3 sessions, sometimes they can be mute because somebody might not be willing to really share. But if you extend that to 6, 7, 8, some of these kids will start opening up. So that's how Jamal Nganga came, and basically putting that vision together, raising funds. So our first idea of raising money was through golf, through my friends, because that was the easiest, most, because I have quite a good number of friends, who play golf, and to me, I was like, maybe I can use golf and then bring Jamal Nganga, and then raise awareness, and then in return, raise some funds. So the last 2 years, we raised money, and then this year, we were able to help 4 kids to go through therapy sessions, and Jamal Nganga Foundation was able to send those funds back to the service providers. With the sneaker gala, the black tie, May 18th, is really to bring a community of professionals who understand, who deal with mental health awareness. So it'll be a night of networking, bringing parents, bringing academias and doctors. And on that night, really, we are trying to have a target of raising quite a number of money so that we can do more. So instead of having 4 now, our target this year maybe is 10, maybe next year will be 20. And as we grow like that, start working with different organizations and service providers, and so build it from there.
Yes. So what advice would you give to parents or guardians who are going through situations and challenges with their children?
My advice really is start early. Make it part of a conversation early enough. That way, you build a trust. I understand people have hectic lifestyles and things like that, but I feel like those conversations should be just part of daily routine.
Yes.
Like we just have any other conversation. So channel it in such a positive way so that people don't feel like they shy away. And to me, just the more education, the more awareness we can bring, especially in my community. I feel like through churches, mosques, and different organizations, we can spread this positive awareness, because mental health, people shy away from that because it has a lot of
stigma.
Yes. And, it just there's an ugliness to that. But so I want to change that dynamic of how people look at that, because if you're mentally strong, that means you as a person, you're strong in so many ways.
Yes.
Right? You can tackle a lot of things. But so having those conversations at the early age with your kids and people around that, people start opening up. Kids will start opening up to their friends and things like that. So we have to break the barriers in our culture, the stigma in different societies, and how we approach the mental health. Because the more we do that, we break those barriers, then it becomes easy to channel that positive, like, mental, don't be afraid about that.
Yes, speak about it. So how can individuals and everyone watching, and we want this message to reach the world, how can individuals who want to support your cause get involved or contribute to your efforts? So
anybody who's willing and open to this noble cause can go to jamalngangafoundation.org and donate or become part of our sponsors. We are looking for different networks, different organizations to partner with us. That is our website. We also have on social media, Instagram, you'll find Jamal Nganga Foundation, Facebook, Jamal Nganga Foundation. Soon we'll also start doing YouTube channels so that
Yes.
we can broadcast some of what we are trying to do. So yeah, so www.jamalngangafoundation.org, that's a really place you can help us.
Okay, and we'll have all this information again at the end of this segment.
Yes.
So finally, as we draw to a close, if you could speak to your son directly today, now, what would you want him to know about the impact he has had on your life and the lives of others through your advocacy efforts?
Son, Jamal, you're not alone. You're not forgotten. It's my mission, my life purpose to continue advocating for you and for suicide, mental health awareness through your name. And I feel like that the thought about that brings joy, because then if I can help one child or one family, to me, I think Jamal will appreciate that, and just gives me a purpose in life, so yeah, so this is something I'm really cherishing, I'm embracing.
Yeah.
So
thank you, Zahir, and we are honored and humbled. And as we come to the end of our conversation with Zahir, I'm reminded of the power of resilience as he sits here, and the capacity of the human heart to transform pain into purpose. Your dedication shows within you, and it radiates through you in raising awareness to this very serious issue amongst our young people in honor of your son. It's really a testament of the enduring bond you had with Jamal, an enduring bond that should be with every parent and child.
Yeah.
So we wish you well from here, and may your advocacy work bring some sense of comfort to those who are hurting, as well as you and your family, and our thoughts and prayers. And we all wish you well as you serve as a beacon of hope for a brighter tomorrow for every single person out there. Thank you so much, Zahir, for sharing your story.
Thank you, Bianca. I could not ask for more. This platform is big, You're allowing me to have this podcast with you, for the first time, opening up and sharing to the world is huge. So thank you for that.
And thank you for, we are very humbled to have you. Grace and honor with your presence. So goodbye from all of us. Until next time. Thank you.